Hi everyone, I'm Carl and this is the second part of my miniature painting guide for absolute beginners. In the first part we took this miniature and brought it up from bare plastic to a clean base coat. That's a good start, but it looks rather flat and boring, so we want to give it some shading and highlighting to give it some more definition. At the very simplest level, this means that we're going to be adding lighter paint where it would be getting more light, and darker paint where it would be getting less light. To take a rather rough example, let's look at the robe on this wizard. You can see different bands of lighter and darker color quite distinctly here. I am also going to show you how to blend the different layers of color together to give you a smoother result, like the robe on this other wizard. Even if this is not usually considered to be a beginner technique, it's simple enough and gives you great results, so I think you should practice it as early and as often as possible. But let's not get too far ahead right now and start with some shading. We're going to start by taking a wash which is darker than our base color and paint it into the recesses. There are some excellent miniature washes out there, but in this case I'm just using regular acrylic with a lot of water in it. You want the color of the wash to be the color of the darkest area you want on your model. So in this case, I could have used a darker green for example. What you are seeing here though is the base color mixed with a tiny amount of red. This will make the end result a bit richer. You can experiment with different color mixes, but in general I avoid mixing with black to darken the paint, as this makes the end result a bit more dull most of the time. Since washes are very thin, they will tend to run into the recesses, which is where you want the shadows to be in most cases. Once you're satisfied you've gotten the wash everywhere it needs to be, let it dry. It will take a bit longer than regular paint, so make sure it's completely dry before you continue. With the wash dry, the miniature should already have a lot more definition, but it's still a bit flat, so let's add some highlights. We're going to take some lighter colored paint and apply it to the area which would be catching light. Don't cover it all up and try to leave a little space between your shade and the highlight. Now, before the highlight is completely dry, pick up a tiny bit of the base color on the tip of your brush and use it to smudge the edge of your highlight. This will give you a super smooth transition between the two colors. You have to work fast here, but it's not very difficult. Just remember to work on small areas at a time. If you prefer not to do this, that's fine. You can still get some very smooth results, either by using more layers or by putting a thin wash over all the layers to bring them all together. This is just the way I like to work most of the time, and it's definitely not the only way or the fastest way. Once you have the first highlight layer done, we're going to repeat the process with an even lighter color. This time, we're only going to focus on the areas that get the most light. So we will be painting smaller areas, but the process will be the same. Put down some paint, blend it in, move on. If you're not sure where you should be putting the highlights, you can literally put it under a strong light to get a better idea. Or if you remember how the miniature looked when we sprayed it with white primer, that's a close approximation. If you want to have a more in-depth look about where to put highlights though, Scudamore has an excellent video on the subject, linked below. And that's really it for this video. Everything else was painted the same way, just with different colors. The brown areas got a black wash and were highlighted with lighter browns, and the orange areas were washed red and highlighted yellow. The only areas I didn't shade were the reds, as the base coat was already dark enough. I just used brighter reds there. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave me a comment below. I hope you will join me for the next video, where we will do the metal and the details. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Stay safe and have a great time.